Hey, hello everybody, and welcome to the Scriptwork podcast. Now, the first bit of news right off the top is we finally come up with a name. I say we, it was Orla, come up with a name for the podcast, True, and it's going to be called In the Works with Scriptworks Productions. So, golf clap for Orla there. Fantastic, good job. So you are watching the In the Works podcast with me, your host, Greg Draven. I hope you are well. Thank you very, very much for tuning in. You can comment. You can tell us what you're thinking. Say hello in the comments. We can always read your comments. You're watching us live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitter. I certainly hope you are. Anyway, so let's get straight to it. Let's introduce the team, shall we? So there is myself, of course, your host, Greg Draven. And I'd like to introduce to you right now the brain behind Scriptworks Productions, Emily Isaacs. Hello.
Hello.
Looks fantastic with your headphones. So kind of celebrating Star Wars there, your Princess Leia look.
Yeah.
Your bun.
It's good, isn't it?
It's
Never
awesome.
realised that.
Awesome. Yeah. You had a good month?
Yeah, it's been good. Really busy. Loads of stuff going on. And it's been amazing. So lots of exciting stuff.
Just quickly, you got some good pieces of news, haven't you, with regards to scripts?
Yes.
Are you going to tell us now, or should we wait for a moment? Wait till everyone's in.
Wait till everyone's in.
You're so lovely.
Wait till everyone's in.
In which case, let's go to the next team member behind Scriptworks Productions. Are you ready? Orla Phipps. She's like, how you doing, Orla? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. All good.
That's fantastic. Life treating you well?
Yeah, not bad. It is what it is. Going along.
Cool story. Fantastic. Right. Let's dive straight in to another team member of Scriptworks Productions while Emily slurps on her tea there. There we go. Oh my goodness.
It's gin.
Oh, it's gin. Much appreciated.
No, it's not gin.
And here's Chris Martin, not from Coldplay. How are you doing? And he's like, that joke never gets old. But look at his Twitter handle.
It's probably a bit of a necessity, isn't it?
Pretty much. It happens a lot, so it's just easier to stick it there.
Do you get mistaken for Chris from Coldplay?
Online, yes, still.
Has Gwyneth Paltrow ever mistaken you for her husband?
I can live with that, but no.
X. You see, it shows you how up on pop culture I am. You know, that's what happens when you hit middle age. You don't give a crap about
They didn't divorce. They consciously uncoupled.
Are we not allowed to say divorce anymore? It's got to be conscious uncoupling.
They consciously
were conscious about it.
It's not politically correct to say divorce anymore. We must consciously uncouple. I like that.
Oh no.
However, we have our very first proper announcement, don't we? Yes, Greg.
Yes, Greg.
Anyone?
Yes, Greg. Yes.
Honestly, come on, work with me here. We would like to introduce to you the newest member of our team, the absolutely lovely Caris. Yay! Say hello to the world, Caris.
Hi, world. Hope you're having an amazing evening.
Oh, we are having an amazing evening. It's even better now you're here, Caris.
Don't flatter me, darling.
Oh, she's so showbiz already. It's marvelous. Now, we happen to have one comment already from someone that joined us last month.
Hey, hi,
Hello there, James.
Hi, James.
He's one of our very valued patrons.
He is indeed. So thank you very, very much, James, for joining us once again. We've got a load of stuff to talk about. We say talk, gabble, really. We don't know what we're doing. We're just fumbling in the dark, making it up as we go along. But, you know, that's what filmmaking is all about, isn't it? So thank you very, very much. While we're talking about Patreon, right at the top of the show, I'm going to say, remember to hit up our Patreon. Patreon subscriptions start from just £1. We've got 2 levels at the moment. We're looking at maybe adding one more or so. From £1, go to patreon.com/scriptworksp, and you'll be able to help support us in making these creative endeavors that are kind of just bubbling in our heads. We had me, Emily, and Chris, we had a meeting on Monday, a creative meeting, didn't we? And one of the things that I've said to Emily, who's there for me, hopefully there for everyone else, is that I really struggle with the creative endeavor of getting started. Once I'm started, I can go. Whereas Emily, she's brilliant. She can not only get started, but keep going. Just the creativity just bubbles out of every orifice that she has. And so what we...
Oh my God, really?
And so
Great choice of word.
Yeah.
it's getting warm, isn't it? I'm going to take the shirt off. And so what Emily said was, well, come along to a creative conflab, you, me, and Chris. And we had a really wonderful session on Monday, didn't we, guys?
Yeah, it was great. It was great. We looked at the poll results, didn't we, of the Patreon?
We did indeed.
Because part of the Patreon is, if you become a patron of Scriptworks, one of the perks is that you get to choose what we're going to create, essentially.
Pretty much.
So we ran a poll, and certain things were chosen. I'm not sure if I can I say what was chosen yet, Caris?
You can say. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, my lady. Thank you.
As our head of marketing, we have to, I kind of feel like I have to run things past her. Like, am I allowed to reveal this yet or not? So we ran the poll, and the poll came back that our patrons wanted to see a short story.
They did.
And they wanted it based on the characters of Alice, Mary, and Geoffrey Hardy. So that's what we've started doing. And that's what we were talking about on Monday. We were talking about what's the story going to be about? How are we going to get the three characters together? What's going to go down? And it kind of went from there, didn't it?
It did indeed go from there. And I got a load out of that meeting. What about you, Chris? How did you find that meeting?
Yeah, I'd never really done anything like that before, to be honest. That kind of collaborating live kind of thing. You compare notes and stuff. But I thought it was only on for about 45 minutes to an hour, but we seemed to get loads done. And we got a really, really good setup for the story. So hopefully it turns out really well.
Yeah, I'm sure it will turn out well. Now, with regards to the story, what we're going to do is we're going to read, I say we, if you don't mind, I shall read a little bit of the story to you. Now, Emily, earlier on, you sent us kind of a new breakdown of the story because you'd written a little bit, sent it, and we were like,
yeah,
God, that's amazing. Where did you send that to? I've mislaid that, so you're going to have to talk for a minute while I search for it. Where did you send that to? Is it my email?
Did I send it to your email?
I don't know. The thing is, we got so many methods of communication. Or was it on Slack? Because we use Slack to communicate.
It's always good to be prepared, isn't it? It's always best to be prepared for it.
No.
Yeah, no, I did. It was email. It was
email.
Yeah, Scriptworks email.
Excellent. Well, let's go there. But while I'm searching for this, what I'd love to do now is put Caris on the spot, and I'm going to do this with you in a second, Caris, and you're going to work out just how terrifying it is. I'd love you to introduce yourself to our viewers and tell them how you got involved with Scriptworks and what you're going to be up to in Scriptworks. Are you up for that?
Totally up for that. So
it's over to you.
Hi, I'm Caris. I originally got involved with Scriptworks because I signed up to be a Christmas elf. Yay! As you may already know, that Greg is going to be Santa this year, like he is most years, at the wonderful Eastbourne Grotto in the Old Marina Cinema. So I contacted him, I did an amazing interview, and I just dropped a little hint that I did social media management. And from that little hint of dropping, I then got introduced to the rest of the team. And after a lot of consideration, they finally voted and said that I could stay. So now I am apparently the head of communication and marketing. And I'm just going to be helping them promote great podcasts, such as like Sam Coleman, who's going to be coming on later on, and all these other amazing things you got lined up for the rest of the year and the new year.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Oh,
It was
wow.
such. That was perfect. Well done. Well done. That was very good. You didn't look like a deer in the headlights. So full points there. You should have seen Chris last time I did that. I did that. I enlarged the screen. He was suddenly like,
Instant terror.
It's kind of weird because when you do it, you end up talking to yourself, and you just see yourself talking to yourself. You're like, oh, is that how I look?
Well, you know, I often talk to myself, especially when I'm in the need for expert advice. So it's a very, very good thing. Emily's going like, no, Craig. My buddy John England has joined us.
Yeah.
We're
Sorry,
breaking up
John.
massively unless Daleks are your fang. Oh, we're very, very sorry we're breaking up. Obviously, in this mid-COVID world, kind of this is the way we've got to do things. So everyone's bandwidth is being kind of destroyed, and we got a million internet-enabled devices here, as I'm sure everybody has. Or it could be your crappy internet. Don't blame us. This might not be our fault. Hey, no. John's a friend. John's a very good friend. My brother up north in Nottingham. So yeah, but John, it's great to have you with us. Thank you ever so much. Right, so I've managed to pull up the little bit of
but before you do, we do need to just kind of tell anyone who's watching who doesn't know what Alice and the Patreon project's about.
I think that's a very good idea, Emily. Give it to them.
Okay, so we started this Patreon project because I wrote a script that's a TV pilot concept based on the first all-female gang in London who were operating out of Lambeth in 1915. They were a bunch of phenomenal women, vicious, brutal, but also very, very fiercely loyal to each other. And when I read their story, I just thought, God, someone has to write something about this. Why has it not been out there before? And as far as I know, it hasn't. And as far as I know, the story is, because it's about a real person, it's technically, anyone can write a story about them because they're dead. So I've just kind of gone for it, really. And the idea with the Patreon project is to create something whereby our patrons can influence what content we write. And it can kind of accompany the script. It can go alongside it. It will be like a transmedia story. So something within that story world, but not actually part of the script itself, although moments will kind of slot in here and there. That's the idea anyway. So yeah, it's a bit of an experiment, but we're just going to go with it and see how it goes.
No, absolutely. And your piece of news that I kind of tried to coax out of you at the start is about that.
I'm not sure we should talk about it, but you've stuck me in the deep end.
Well, I mean, you don't have to go into details.
It's great. I mean, obviously, I'm still entering the script into competitions, and at the moment, it's a semi-finalist in the Screencraft competition, which is quite good, and so that's really good. I'm not expecting it to get through to the finals. It would be great if it did. But
she said that every time, though. Oh, I put my script in with 5,000 others. I'm not expecting to get accepted. Narrow it down to the next one. Oh, I'm not expecting it to go any further. Narrow it down. That's where it ends. Narrow down. She's going to win this. Win this.
So anyway,
honest.
And then there's this agency over in America called Roadmap Writers, led by a really lovely guy called Joey Tuccio, and he came to speak at London SWF earlier in the year.
Well, what's sorry, SWF?
Oh, sorry, London
What?
Screenwriters Festival.
Right.
And he goes there to speak every year, and essentially what they do is they match writers to production companies and projects to production companies, and they look at projects and they go, oh, I know who would like that, and then they talk to the production company. Some of it is obviously sort of on a, you pay for the advice of a producer, because quite a lot of different companies do that now. But yeah, the owner, Joey Tuccio, emailed me this afternoon to say he's read Alice, he really likes the script, and he wants to send it out to some production companies. So fingers crossed.
That's
fingers
awesome.
crossed.
And Joey Tuccio kind of sounds like a godfather, doesn't he? So we're going to be in with the right people. Hey, Joey. Hey, Mr. Tuccio.
No, he's lovely. He's so sweet. Yeah,
well, I'm sure, with that kind of family behind him, I'm sure he's lovely. Yeah.
Just don't interrupt
Right,
him.
I just want to say, I don't know if he's a member of the mafia. I'm assuming he's not, but if you
No,
are,
he's-
hey, we've seen the films. He's cool. And it's all going wrong now. So, yes. So what we're going to do is I'm going to read you a snippet as a bit of a sneak peek from the short story. Emily.
Can you hide me? Because I'm just going to cringe.
She is going to cringe. Actually, I'm going to do better. What I'll do, I'll enlarge myself because I'm all about me. And
just enlarge Emily.
No.
Yeah, I want to see the reaction.
Right, let's start with the reading of the story. Alice found herself in the. Don't do that. No, I think we're going to upset Emily enough a bit later on, aren't we? Anyway, have you got your tissues ready, Emily?
I have actually.
Oh, we're not going to tell you why she needs tissues, but that's a big box. Wow. Now, what this is all about is that our Patreons, as we said earlier, get to decide what creative endeavor we undertake, and a short story was chosen with these three main characters. So Emily just went blah, 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 and started writing and came up with this brilliant idea, or came up with this brilliant story out of the ideas that her, myself, and Chris bounced around the writer's room on Monday. It sounds a lot more professional when we say that rather than over Google Meet. And I kind of said, what we should do is just tease people with a little snippet. And if you want to read the rest of it, what have you got to do? Chris, tell them what they've got to do.
Got to go and subscribe to the Patreon. That's the only way you get the rest of it. That's the catch.
Short and to the point. I like it. Well
Definitely
done, Chris.
worth it.
It is. That's right. Yeah, from just £1 a month. If we could just get 50,000 of you subscribing for £1 a month, we'd be as happy as she's in pit. Okay, so that's all we need. And if you can't subscribe, then what you can do is give us a share. It's free to give us a share. So I am going to now. I'm going to big myself up, and what I mean by that is do this. There we go. And I'm going to read a little snippet. Now, this is entitled The Hangover. But no, The Handover by Emily Isaacs. Oh, The Handover by Emily Isaacs. Right then, guys. I'm going to just mute all your mics there. There we go. Fantastic. So here we go. Godwin grinned at Alice as he rapped on the door for her. They're waiting for you. Would you like some tea? No, Tar, she said quietly. He opened the door into the office and she walked through. She always loved the smell of Hardy's office, all dark wood and leather and dust. Not the grime and the filth of Lambeth's streets, just the dust of old papers and books. But then Mary was there, in the second client's seat. Hardy rose to greet her from behind the desk, his usual suited and booted. He'd used an extra glob of hair pomade today, and it was shining like marble black. Mary stayed seated, her handbag on her lap and that ever-present poker-face smile. She had her feathered hat on, the one she used for court. Alice ground her jaws together, pressing her teeth into her gums. Seeing Mary with Hardy in the same room wasn't a good thing. It meant something had gone wrong, usually. Alice, thank you for coming. Please take a seat. She took off her hat and coat and handed it to Godwin, ready with outstretched arms there, like a little weasel butler. He bobbed and limped out with them over his arm, shutting the door behind him. She sat down, looking at Mary for a sign of what was going on. You've had lunch. Would you like tea? Hardy said, as he took out some cardboard files from the drawer. No tea, no thank you, Alice said. So what's all this about then, Mary? And you have to sign up for our Patreon if you want to know where that story goes. So there you go. That's a little snippet from Emily's first short story regarding Alice. Don't look like that. Don't look like that, Emily. Now you've got to unmute yourself. I can't unmute you.
It's the first draft.
Yeah, it's a brilliant first draft.
It's polished.
It's an absolutely brilliant first draft. I think it's amazing. What did you guys think of it?
I love it.
I'm really impressed. I think it's awesome.
Has anybody got a washing
really
machine going on
reading.
in their room? Just quickly, has anybody got a washing machine going on in their room?
I think that might be my laptop.
Might also be my laptop also.
Mine
I know I
kinda
shouldn't have put the reds in with the whites. No, I don't know why it's doing that. It's like I closed Final Cut Pro and it just decided just to do everything in the back.
No, I've had enough.
Sorry.
Hey, no problem. We're all, So Chris, I interrupted you with my rude comment about washing machine. What did you think of it?
It's interesting to see where like the idea we came up with on Monday has kind of gone in such a short space of time as well. You put yourself down, but it's really good. From that basic structure we came up with and having obviously read where it goes, I love it. I think it's good. You've done a good job in a really quick space of time. I wish I could write that well, but I'm naff. Getting there.
But this is
practice.
This is what Monday was about, wasn't it? It was about flexing those creative juices. And a writer's room isn't just all about people starting that journey. It's about, and then this could happen, and everybody kind of joins in. Karis, Orla, what did you think about it?
Do you want to go ahead, Orla?
Yeah, well, I thought I'm really impressed by it, seeing as I missed the writer's room. But yeah, I love the description of the characters. I think it's a really intriguing piece, and I want to read on more.
Subscribe to the Patreon,
I have to
John.
subscribe myself.
Yeah, Orla, subscribe to our Patreon. Come on.
Yeah.
No, not Orla.
No, I agree. I think it was really good.
My buddy John says we need more. Well, if you need more, you know what to do. And my friend Kirsten, she's just signed up for our Patreon. Thank you very, very much. Thank you very much. And we have our friend back with us.
Oh, hi,
Tamsin.
Tamsin. Don't call her Tamsin. She hates that.
Yeah, it's
Hi,
Tamsin.
Tamsin.
I'm going to get some grief for that in a bit. That's
you
fantastic.
really are.
And we've got a comment from a Karis Blythen saying, "Hey, we're live."
Yeah, my friend said they show up, so I'm holding them accountable.
Really, have they shown up? James has said this is good news about the script.
Yay!
So,
Cheers,
yeah,
James.
he's absolutely right.
He's so supportive.
Absolutely right. Great to see you, Kirsten. Great to see you, Tasmin. Thank you very much for signing up, Kirsten. Supporting us means the absolute world. Thank you very, very much.
What we didn't mention as well was that the patrons that we've had in our first month we've now got enough for it to pay for StreamYard. So
that's right.
So that's amazing. That's really good.
And what that means is that as a very, very small new company, we don't have to worry about stuff like that. We're not going to be wasting money frivolously, not yet anyway. That's going to be when we're all millionaires and can throw parties on yachts and stuff.
That's next year.
Yeah. That's January 2021, which is next month, people. It's 2021.
Don't.
Yeah, 2021 next month.
I remember when it was March.
Yeah. And it's going to be that again in 3 months.
Anymore.
Like March to December has just gone like that, isn't it?
One big blur.
But also look at how much has been done, with regards to Scriptworks.
Yeah, my God! Since May, we've done 2 shorts. We started the Patreon. We sent out the script to loads of places. We've set up.
Got quite a bit more plans.
We set up Halfway Hotel by
me.
Sarah Rose Pickering. We've got Karis on board now. So, you know, I just think it's awesome. It is awesome. And we really couldn't have done it without you guys.
Yeah. Right. Now, what I'm keen to do, because when we were talking about this earlier, I was like, you know, if it goes an hour and a half, 2 hours, so be it. And we're like, no, it'll go like that because we'll just whip through this subject. We've spoken about topic number 1 at the moment. So what we're going to do, we're going to whip on talking about some more crap in our lives. Not just crap, just stuff that's pertinent. Need to talk about David Prowse. The iconic David Prowse, man behind the costume, sadly passed away earlier this week, or was it the end of last week?
Karis is Googling him.
Karis is Googling him. Oh my!
You're really not, are you? You
Darth
are.
Vader.
Oh my God! You're Googling Darth Vader.
Hey, I know. If you would have said Darth Vader, I would be like, yeah, of course. But I have not watched any of the Star Wars or the Star Treks or whatever the Star thing he's in.
Oh.
All I know is Baby Yoda.
Well, isn't it lucky you're not part of a film company, huh?
I actually I only just joined. I actually made a Baby Yoda figurine out of clay.
It's not Baby Yoda. He has a name.
Grogu? What was it?
I was going to say, don't spoil it for people that haven't seen it.
I don't know. I don't know what
Just
his name is. That's my the bit I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. So you just ruined it for all. Well done.
But anyway, as John says, it's very sad about
Absolutely
Dave Prowse passing.
And
we have Dave Prowse's signature actually on I think it might be a film cell. It's framed.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Because Gino knew his son or something. So that's our Dave Prowse story. But so many people, Green Cross Code Man, Jolly Green Giant.
Ho ho ho!
So
Green
many people
Giant.
have lovely stories of meeting him.
I remember I was very fortunate once. I got to touch his helmet. He had come to an event. Don't snigger like that, Emily. You filth-minded. He'd come to an event, and the Darth Vader helmet. You know, if you only knew the power of the dark side. And of course, I've always identified with the character of Anakin, and I very fortunately got to play a wonderful character that shares a lot of characteristics with Darth Vader, as in, you know, villain in a film, kick-ass outfit. Revoiced by another actor, but we don't talk about that, do we? Emily earlier, she was like, "Don't talk about that, Draven. Don't talk about that." But it's funny, and you know, it was brilliant. Both voices for both characters were the exact right voice. That is what is true. Absolutely. So yeah, R.I.P. to the Jolly Green Giant, Darth Vader, who will help you cross the road. So you know. He's not all bad, is he? I think the WTF by my mate John was Karis Googling who David Prowse is.
You guys will soon understand that I'm a bit of a hermit.
But she's also a baby as well. She's like so young.
Oh, I know. So fresh. So much opportunity to be disillusioned with the world coming up.
This is not already disillusioned.
Oh, smooth. Very, very smooth. So
we're all there.
David Prowse. David, may the force be with you. One of the next things we're going to talk about is a really interesting to and fro that occurred between an actor and a director recently. Take a look at this.
These poor people live in these tiny apartments. Like, I'm looking at his, background, and he's got his TV and
Yeah, mute it. I know it's a shitty apartment. That's why give me this job so I can get a better one. All right. Ready?
Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
No, it's totally. Listen, I'm living in a 4x4 box. It's fine. Just give me the job and we'll be fine.
I'm mortified.
Oh, that's cringy to watch.
Secondhand embarrassment there.
That kind of makes my lips suck up above my teeth. Now,
I feel like
the
if I was
director-
him, I would have been quiet and found out what else he wanted to say and then tell him.
Yeah,
Well,
you
that's
piped up
because
way too
you're an
early.
evil genius, Paris. I'm starting to worry about this now.
Yeah, I'd probably cry on the spot.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Lucas personally handled it with class and grace and really well. Now, the director in question is Jeffrey Toobin, who has since made a full public apology, and he says, and I think the intonation is correct, when he says, look at these, poor actors living in their apartments. He doesn't mean, oh, look at these poor people on the streets. Aren't they filthy? As in, oh my God, look at these guys, what they're having to deal with in their life at the moment. So I think the context was not malicious, and he apologized immediately. He probably felt like he wanted the world to open up and swallow him whole. But it does raise an interesting question because, 2020 has been the year of self-tapes for actors, has been, and this is something that hopefully I'm going to speak to Sam about shortly when he joins us. And I can see he's in the green room ready to join us. There he is. He's just given us a thumbs up. We've got a couple more bits to talk about, buddy. Then we'll be with you, you handsome bugger. Got a couple more things to talk about. But 2020 has been the year of self-tapes. It's been the year of auditions and interviews like this, much like I interviewed Karis for the job as an elf. And it absolutely terrifies me that the directors might be kind of judging us upon our background, because this is kind of the background that I work with. So this is me in the middle of a self-tape here. I'm a working actor, a jobbing actor, got 4 kids, a wife, 3-bedroom house. It's a very family orientated home. It's tiny. Emily's been around here, haven't you? Yeah. It's not a big house, but this is what I'm working with there. So when I see that happen, it kind of makes me go like, oh, that's that's kind of mean. So guys, what do we think? Emily, what do we think?
Gosh, it's really tricky, isn't it? I mean, obviously you don't want to judge people on their houses. Oh no, that's okay. I just thought I saw half a dead mouse on my floor.
But it's a whole dead mouse. That's fine.
Talk about not telling people about their houses.
I'm still not sure. Actually, I'm just gonna leave it there for the moment and deal with it later if it is.
The cats will deal with it.
Yeah, the cats. So obviously I think you shouldn't judge people on their houses. But I think, to a certain extent, I think it also shows that people who are in very well-paid jobs, who are well secured in industries and have regular income coming in, very much like politicians, become detached from the real world.
The gig economy that actors live in.
The gig economy, certainly. And so that's possibly what was showing there was his privilege.
Chris, I just want to jump over to you. What do you make of it? Because you got a lovely background there. You look very well read, and you got a lovely play.
So exciting! No, I haven't read any of these. Don't worry, it's all a facade. I just think it's one of those things. Like I'm not an actor, so I don't see that side, and it's one of those things that hadn't really not something that crossed my mind. But you look at something like that and think, surely professionals in that industry would judge someone on the quality of their presentation and their acting and their projection and whatever else, not on what's behind them. And it's kind of, but unfortunately, obviously in the real world, that isn't always necessarily the case. You've got to hope that, especially this year, if people a break, come on, got to get by.
Now, Tasmin said she missed the clip. Sorry to cut you off there. Tasmin said she missed the clip, so pay attention, Tasmin. I'll play it again.
These poor people live in these tiny apartments. Like, I'm looking at his, background, and he's got his TV and
Yeah, mute it. I know it's a shitty apartment. That's why give me this job so I can get a better one. All right. Ready?
Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
No, it's
Lucas.
totally. Listen, I'm living in
I'm
a.
so sorry.
I'm living in a 4x4 box. It's fine. Just give me the job and we'll be
No,
fine.
I'm mortified.
Did he get the job?
I don't know. I love the bit where he like goes, "Oh, you're screwed." He just does that little like, "Oh, I wouldn't want to be you right now." Ooh. Orla, what do you make of it?
Yeah, I think I agree about, people can't control their homes all the time, especially with backgrounds, and it's hard to make things look what they obviously this person wanted to see, a studio or whatever, but times are very different now with self-tapes, and I think it's a good reminder to us, moving forward, for like our attitudes towards people, and it's kind of taught me never to think that way, because karma, and his mic was
You
off.
never know when your mic isn't muted.
Yeah, and I don't think I would ever say something like that about anybody behind their back if they were going to hear it or not. So it's an interesting kind of look into the way the big bosses, in Hollywood or wherever this was, kind of think, and it's a bit disappointing, but hopefully he's learned his lesson now and he won't be saying anything like that in the future. It's just a bit of a shame, I think.
Karis, what do you make of that? I mean, you might not have seen that clip before. What do you make of it?
I've heard about the clip. I hadn't exactly seen it apart from when you guys obviously showed it to me. I definitely agree with what everyone's been saying. There was nothing wrong with his home there.
No.
It's not like there was litter or the mess.
That's the thing, isn't it?
It looked
I
really
was pretty
clean.
impressed,
Cool
to be honest.
guitar,
My
nice
house.
TV. Like, it would, maybe if it was a bit dingy, or maybe if there was like people running around in the background, like that would be not even a reason to make that sort of comment. I mean, there's not really ever a reason to make that sort of comment, because as we said, like, you can't control who your family is or where you live, or all these other factors surrounding you. You can only base yourself on the quality of the work that you actually do provide.
So interestingly, I'm just gonna jump out. Kirsten has said, "Lovely seeing us guys pushing on, continuing to create through this difficult time." She has a muggle job, so thanks very much. But something's just come through on my Facebook feed, and I probably shouldn't go into this, but part of Scriptworks is transparency. Emily's like going, "Oh God, what's he going to do?" It's nothing bad. Don't worry. So I shared the Scriptworks link on my own personal page so that my friends might want to come along and join us. And I've had a copyright claim made against our Scriptworks Productions show. An ownership link was added to your video from Page Scriptworks Productions Limited because it may contain content that belongs to someone else. Our video matches 1 minute and 1 second of content owned by the Wendy Williams show. What? Yeah,
Wendy Williams has been streaming us.
now, I mean, it's possible she bought the rights to Lucas Gage's video. I very much doubt it. I mean, obviously we credited the clip; it's fair use. But yeah, I think we've got to talk about content management and copyright management in the digital era because it's screwing so many people. But maybe that's for another show.
Yeah,
I'm very, very keen to get on and talk with Sam. I think we're going to cut a couple of sections.
Worried about that now.
Yeah, don't worry.
I don't think Wendy Williams is.
I'll dispute it. They can take us to court if
There's
they want.
no money for them to have anyway.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing.
I don't think there's anything to worry about.
I think closing comments there is Lucas Gage handled that with such class. I hope he gets the role. And oh my God, isn't he sickeningly handsome? I hate him.
Oh yeah, he's gorgeous.
Yeah. All right, Orla. Just give it a moment.
Sorry.
Right?
Calm down, Orla.
No, he's fine.
I think Kirsten's excited for our guest.
It's fine.
Yeah,
he's fine. It's just his background's a bit.
Bring in Sam.
Hey.
Let's talk to Sam. I want to talk to Sam.
I want to big him up. Just give me a minute.
Okay.
I know what I'm doing, Emily. For God's sake. I don't know what I'm doing. So we've got a couple of things. One of them is quickly to discuss biopics. Is it pronounced biopic or biopic? You decide. Emily, what do you think?
I've no idea now.
Okay, good job.
I used to say biopic, and then I saw a lecture online where someone said biopic, and now I really don't know.
All right, Chris,
I'm
what do you
sorry,
reckon?
it's not very
Biopic or
helpful.
biopic?
Biopic. Apparently, Google said otherwise, but biopic.
Orla.
Yeah, I always thought it was biopic, and then I did some extensive research, and Google tells
Was that
you
the
how
same
to.
extensive research that Karis did on David Prowse?
Well, I had a long thing, and yeah, I think it's biopic. Like
Oh no!
biography, biopic.
One of our
I don't know.
patrons is wrong.
Biopic. See, James
Biopic.
says biopic.
Right, Karis.
Biology. No,
Karis.
biology.
I mean, I know that Orla checked Google on the pronunciation, but also, has anybody listened to how Google reads out things sometimes? It never makes sense.
It's my only official source.
Get Google to say scunthorpe.
I don't know who invented the
You'll
word.
always get it right.
So you don't say biology
Biology.
or
Biology.
biography.
Biopic.
Biography.
It doesn't feel right.
Right,
Biopic
right.
just feels right.
Right, here we go. Let
Biography.
me just grab the mic back.
Biopic.
Sarah Rose Pickering. Hey, Sarah. Great to see you.
Hi, Sarah.
Now, she says it's
Biopic.
biopic, as it's spelt with
It's
only
spelled with
one
only
P.
one P.
However, wait. She then says, and the word comes from biography. But it's not biography.
Yeah.
So there you go. We've got biography. But she's saying it's biopic.
Biography.
Mm.
I say both are valid.
Yeah, both are valid, but one will get you laughed at, I think. So there we go. What we can do is, I think at this point, we can bring in our guest and make the first question, and the first question, basically, he decides, I think.
Okay.
Ladies and
Whatever
gentlemen,
Sam decides, that's it.
what I'd love to do, and I hope we can squeeze him in here properly, because there are lots of us in this little this thing here, is please welcome to the stage and welcome to the In the Works podcast, the wonderful Sam Coleman.
Yeah, I mean, you look at them with their podcast backgrounds like that. I mean, it's ridiculous. Who would do a podcast for this sort of tiny houses? Oh, hey guys.
Sam, your mic's not muted, mate. Your mic's not muted. I see what you did there. That was good.
Thank you.
Oh, very good. Improvisation, adaptation, very good. Wonderful. Sam, it's good to see you, brother. It's been such a long time since we've actually got to see each other in the flesh. I think it was when you were working at Fame Academy doing some filming for them, and my daughter attended, and I came along, and I did a talk there, wouldn't you?
Yes. It's been a long time since I've seen any human beings, really. So.
Oh no. Oh, okay, so look, just like cuddle me, just cuddle me. Oh.
I'm kidding. Yeah.
So Sam, it's great. It's great to see you, brother. Thank you so much for agreeing to humiliate yourself on our podcast. Really appreciate it. You are our first guest, and I couldn't be happier that we got such an awesome person.
It can only get better from here.
Oh, I don't
That's
think
the worst,
I think we're going to be a tough act to follow, brother. So how's your 2020 been, Sam?
Yeah, I mean, I always start by saying, "Oh, it's awful, it's rubbish," and then I remember sort of that I'm quite lucky, really, to be me and to have a house and to have food, and there's a lot of people. Not to get, I feel like I'm going to turn into there's people dying in the street, but
put the soapbox to the side.
Not that that's funny, because it's really not.
Stuff, of course.
Yeah, it's been all right. It's been all right, considering the death plague that's on us. So yeah.
Yeah, so basically, and of course, the next question, which I'm sure you're expecting, biopic or biopic?
See, I'm not really sure, because I think it's biographical picture, really, isn't it? And so you could argue that any sort of shortening is a bit sort of slapdash when it comes to sort of vocabulary.
Yeah,
so, biographical picture. Or just, I used to call it biopic for most of my childhood, and then I heard someone say biopic, and I thought, oh no, what have I done? I've been saying it wrong. So I don't know, Greg. There's probably more important things to talk about than.
So what you're saying there is biopic is the correct one. Brilliant, great. I'm glad we cleared that up.
That was a diplomat's answer, if ever.
Yeah, I mean, you should go into politics, Sam.
Oh, I really should.
There you go. So for our guests that don't know, first of all, where the hell have you been? But Sam here is, I don't know, do you want to say best known for, or I mean, because it really annoys me when someone says, oh, you're best known for this, and it's like, I don't want to be best known for that. So do you care? I don't know.
Well, not really.
Hey, in which case, Sam Coleman is best known for playing Willis, also known as young Hodor, in one of arguably Game of Thrones' most harrowing scenes, without a doubt. When I've got a little clip to play a bit later, but I played it earlier, and I'm just going to tell them Emily started crying her eyes out because she does it all the time. I started getting emotional watching her cry and remembering the scene. But also, you played the freaky Bud in Leatherface, which I watched the other day, and it was absolutely awesome. I'd like to talk about that in a little bit. But other than those two massive things, what else might people have seen you in, be it theatre or whatever?
Yeah, so Leatherface was my first ever film job, and it was absolutely mental because I was doing my A-levels at the time, and suddenly I landed that role, and I was a bit like, oh, I'm on a film set, what is happening? There's Stephen Dorff over there, what's going on? and then I did Game of Thrones, like, off the back of that, essentially. Like, I went from one to the other somehow, and I thought that was
tough times.
I thought that was my acting career made. I thought I didn't have to do anything. My dogs are going mad because the Tesco's delivery just arrived, but I thought my mum's there. It's fine. I thought my career was made. I've done two amazing things. That's it. I can retire now and become a mall Santa when I'm older. Sorry, Greg. And then I ended up more and more. So yeah, I've been in Lords of Chaos, which was the Jonas Ackland true story film about the Norwegian black metal band Mayhem, who burnt a load of churches and then killed each other in the 70s. Yeah, I get all the fun jobs, nice, happy,
and off the back
comedies.
of that, you managed to get yourself in one of Metallica's music videos, didn't you? You bastard.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Sam doesn't know this. Well, he might know a little bit, but Metallica is my all-time favorite band ever. They got me through some really tough times, and I did speak to Sam about it. But what I didn't say was how viscerally fucking jealous I was that you got into that until I saw the music video and realized the band weren't in it at all, and then I felt a bit better. That's just saying it how it was. But you were filming Lords of Chaos at the time you did the music video, isn't that right?
Yeah, so Jonas Ackland, who's the director, he's most well known for being a music video director. He's done Kylie, Britney, Madonna, Lady Gaga, Metallica,
and he's also directed music videos, hasn't he?
Nice. Yeah, he's a very famous music video director, and he was like, I'm not going to do a Swedish accent. I was about to attempt it. That would be absolutely ridiculous. That'd be my career over. He was like, "Hey guys, I'm filming all of Metallica's music videos for their newest album, and we had this idea for one of their songs that because we're doing concerts anyway, and you guys are all dressed up as the band Mayhem, and Metallica wants to be sort of respected in the metal world, that we could just film a Mayhem concert, but it would be them singing Metallica songs, and then that would be a cool idea for a video." So somehow it felt like we were still filming the film. We'd filmed a scene for the film, and then it was like, right, now we're going to play the Metallica song. You have to do exactly what you just did for the film, but it's a Metallica song. Have fun. So very, very.
So because I thought Game of Thrones was your first gig, but it was Leatherface. And then you fell from Leatherface into Game of Thrones, and then you were filming this Lords of Chaos and fell into Metallica's music video. Tough times, Sam. Tough times. Yeah, tough gigs. Dude, I couldn't be happier, honestly, having known you for a while and got to know you. I couldn't be happier. And let's just hope 2021, which is next month, is better for us all. And I'd love to get to work with you, and I'm hoping.
Oh, me too.
We can sometime. Hoping we can sometime. One of the things that we were going to talk about before bringing you out, but we procrastinate and speak so much crap it takes forever, was shows that we're watching at the moment. Cool shows. Just a very brief synopsis of what's really floating your creative boat with TV at the moment. What are you watching, Sam?
Oh, so I've recently just started binging Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because I never got around to watching it when it was actually happening. And with the new series coming out, I realized that's 7 seasons worth of procrastination that I can watch without having to find a new thing halfway through. So I'm on season 4 now of that. Sort of shows you how many hours of the evening I've spent watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But prior to that, I think I don't know what's that. His Dark Materials is quite cool at the moment.
Oh, okay,
yeah, that's good. Yeah. Really good. Yeah. Have you seen? Oh my God, what was the other one that we watched the other day? It's not His Dark Materials. Oh, I'm going to be really middle-aged and I can't remember it now.
Not Good Omens.
No. It's like His Dark Materials.
Not good.
But not. No, it's gone. It's gone. Gone.
Oh, I know. His Light Fabrics.
No, no, it's not that. No. Oh, it's going to really annoy me now. I'll have to remember and then mention it next time.
The Mandalorian. Oh,
Mandalorian, so good, briefly, so good.
Oh, look, there's a Grogo.
Oh, yeah.
I've got one up there.
The whole new Fortnite season is all about the Mandalorian as well. That came out today.
It is. Season 5, 0 Point, happened last night. And people are playing it today. Right. So, Orla, what are you watching at the moment?
Well, I've just finished The Queen's Gambit. It's really, really, really good. I was obsessed.
The Queen's Gambit, Sam?
I thought it was about a real person.
So amazing.
Up until I did my research and realised it was
you
fiction.
Thought it was a biopic?
So well written. Pardon?
You thought it was a biopic?
No, he thought it was a biopic.
I thought it was a film about a real person. But it wasn't. But she came across her story was so well developed, and it really felt like it could have, been a real true story. But
oh my God, the sets and the costumes, and the lighting.
Amazing.
Oh,
it's almost like they had a decent budget to film it, isn't it?
Yeah,
but it's not just the budget; it's how they used it. It was really good.
It's not about the budget; it's how you use it. Where have I heard that before? Right, Paris. What have you been watching?
I've been watching The Crown. And apparently, it isn't true.
So it's not a biopic.
Really?
I'm only like a little bit into it, but I grew up in France, so I don't have a lot of like English cultural history. I'm quite crap at that, and I am blonde. Thankfully, I'm not that blonde, but I can understand how some people would get a bit confused.
Okay. Yeah, but this is the whole thing with biopics. Or biopics, however you want to pronounce it. I'm gonna just end up saying both now all the time.
Films about real things and people.
They have to be dramatic, because otherwise they're just boring.
Yeah. I'm surprised they're even allowed to do that with the royal family.
Well, this is what I don't understand is how did they get the life story rights for the entire royal family? I mean,
I want to pull Sam in here. Lords of Chaos. Would you consider that? So that was based on
Mayhem.
Yeah, but that was based on a true story, wasn't it?
Well, it's disputed because obviously some of the members of the band, one of whom went to jail for murder and then escaped and claims he never did it, and all sorts of stuff like that. So they will claim that it's not a true story. So the movie starts with a thing that says based on truth and lies, and it's basically kind of a collection of all the different stories from around at the time, and there was a book written that had one version. So it's as biographical, picturesque as you can get. Jesus, for such a.
But that's the thing, though. It's like whether you're doing a story about a person who is alive or whether they've passed on, you're going to have to fill in some gaps.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite films is called The Poker House, and it's an autobiographical film about the actress Laurie Petty and her life growing up.
So completely biased then.
Yeah, but it's that still says I was watching interviews from her. She still says there's it's not all completely true. because memory changes things, time changes things,
Who
and just
played,
the human
Laurie Petty?
perspective. Like that's, I think you're questioning the whole what is truth, like because people think things are true that aren't. You
Who
know,
played Laurie Petty in that?
Jennifer Lawrence. It was her first ever film.
Oh, okay. Right, Chris, what have you been watching?
Well, I'm on the hunt at the moment, but I've just recently finished The Boys, which I'm a little bit late to, but I cannot.
Love
I've been
Boys.
raving at everyone, and everyone's like, "Yeah, we know, we
what
watched
I
it."
want.
But it's
I can do what.
it is one of those. Yeah, exactly. It is one of those shows where I wish I could kind of forget it and then watch it again. So that's I'd recommend to anybody, as long as you're too squeamish. If you're too squeamish, maybe don't. But yeah, that's brilliant.
We got a thumb up from Sam on The Boys, didn't we?
Yes, yeah. I mean, I would petition for every single film and TV show in the history of world and in the future to end with a bunch of female superheroes kicking a Nazi into the ground, because that's my kind of jam, and I love it.
I'm sure we can find some niche material on that.
Script for you then.
Let's do it. As long as I can be that Nazi female, that's absolutely fantastic. You know,
I have to shave the beard a little bit, maybe.
It's 2021. You know, it's barriers are being destroyed. Em, what are you watching?
Well, we've mentioned a lot of them already: The Crown and Queen's Gambit, and I've been indulging in a bit of rewatching The West Wing as well, because obviously we had the big election and that was very exciting. I felt like I stayed up for about 5 days straight for that. And then I was like, oh my God, I can watch The West Wing again, because it's almost going to be like the truth. And then Joe Biden went and sprained his ankle, and it was just like the first episode of The West Wing all over again. So for anyone who hasn't seen The West Wing, in the first episode, they make this huge deal about POTUS having a bicycle accident, and one of the one of the speechwriters, Sam Seaborn, gets paged because POTUS has had a bicycle accident, and they all get paged one by one. CJ is in the gym working out, and so they all go rushing in because POTUS has had a bicycle accident. Turns out POTUS is, of course, the president of the United States. And the press have a field day with this. They absolutely piss themselves laughing because POTUS had a bicycle accident. And then what happens? What happened to Biden? It wasn't a bicycle accident. He was playing with his dog. Yeah, he was playing with his dog and he sprained his ankle, and I was just like, "Oh my God, that's just
life imitating
amazing,
amazing." Let's see what some of our guests are, some of our viewers are watching. We got Wayne. Hi there, Wayne.
Hi, Wayne.
Good to see you. Good to see you, brother. He's watching Mando. That's absolutely fantastic. I'm adoring Mando. I love the humor. My favorite interaction. Hey, fantastic. My favorite interaction.
But now the question: which one's cuter?
Oh, Sam's. Sorry, Karen.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sam's is
too poor to get the real deal. I had to make one.
Best I could offer.
What I really dig is there was an interaction between two speeder pilots at the end of season 1. One of them really wants to see Grogu, and there's just this beautiful, like, these are two guys that are sick and tired of their boss. They don't want to be at their job. And it's just like, I could almost see that being an Eddie Izzard sketch that he does on stage, and they did it in the show. And I was just like, that's beautiful. James is enjoying Blood of Zeus.
Ooh.
I recommend wine instead, but whatever floats your boat.
I haven't watched that.
I haven't. Wayne Liveridge also says the third day is great.
Yay!
I'm sorry, awesome. Sam. You're breaking up. What was that?
There's one or two actors. There's one or two actors who are a bit dodgy in that one, but it's mostly all right. This guy in the background with the beard, he's a bit. Why
I order? And Sarah likes Euphoria, and This Is Us.
This Is Us is amazing. Yeah.
And
Predator.
I'm watching. So finished watching The Boys recently, and now watching The Witcher.
Oh yeah,
So good.
yeah, The Witch is
The
really
Witcher.
good.
Enjoying that. The first couple of episodes, I was like, "What's going on?" The latest episode 3 I've watched, I was like, "Oh, okay, wow." So that's great.
I need to play the game. I really enjoyed the show.
So that's what we're watching, and technically now we should be introducing Sam, and it's 9 o'clock. We've been talking
I'm
for an
so sorry.
hour. No, but this is it. This is what this is about, and people are still watching. People aren't bored. Well, we don't care if you're bored as long as you stay around. To be honest. So obviously we've spoken about Sam, the fact that I've known Sam for a while, and right, Emily, are you ready? Because what we're
As
going to
ready
do,
as I'll ever be.
what we're going to do is play a clip, which is right. Yeah. Get ready, guys. We're going to play the clip that is arguably the most harrowing scene in Game of Thrones, and my buddy Sam Coleman got to portray this character. And this clip is the death and birth of Hodor. Here we go, guys.
Hold the door! Hold the door!
Holy shit.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. I said that. I mean, that scene's a lot longer, and there's so much more to that scene. But that is, the death and birth of Hodor, brilliantly portrayed by both Sam Coleman and Mr. Nairn, of course. But we got Sam here, not him, so screw him.
I was cheaper. Free, in fact.
Yeah, absolutely. Just send us the money you're paying us after the show, all right?
Oh,
dude, I mean, what a gig to get. Now, you were in Willis, the actual character name, was in 2 episodes, is that correct?
Yeah, 2 and 5.
But what a scene to have. I don't know where to start with the question with this. I know about the story of Nina Gold, I believe, saying that she was the luckiest person in the world when you walked into the casting studio, and she just knew instantly that's him, and you were practically given the job on in her own mind on the spot, I suspect. How was the casting process for that for you?
Yeah, well, when that article came out with Nina Gold saying she was the luckiest person in the world that I walked in or whatever, that was a pretty moment. Although she didn't cast me in the next 2 things I auditioned in front of her for, so sorry, Nina. No, but so what was the casting process like? Well, because Game of Thrones is in so much, or it was in so much secrecy at that time, to the point where they had drones flying around the set and stuff, and it was all very MI5-esque. I didn't audition for Hodor. I auditioned for Large Stable Boy. And I've told this story many times before, so apologies if I end up in my sort of convention-style ramble for the next half an hour. But I auditioned for Large Stable Boy, and the character was meant to be about 12 years old. It was 12, 13 years old, and I was 18 at the time. And so I turned up, and I thought, what the hell has my agent put me in for this audition for? I was going, and I was doing it because it was Game of Thrones, and it was a chance to be in front of Nina Gold and being seen as half the battle as an actor. But I was sat in this waiting room to go into the audition, surrounded by a load of 12 to 13-year-old boys, with their mums and their parents and their chaperones, these tiny little children, and there's me looking like some sort of walrus at a tea party, this 18-year-old who's just travelled up to London on his own for an audition. So I walked into the audition room, and they gave me like a wood. I think it was either a wooden sword or it was a stick that was meant to be a sword. And they said, we just want you to run on and hold the sword up and say the line that they're giving me, which wasn't Hodor. It was some line about fighting or something. And I did that. And they said, do it again. I did it again. And they said, thank you very much. Have a good day. And I went home and I thought, right, I'm never going to get the part. I'm 18, not 12. It was a good chance to be, have an audition. I'll go have a burger, go home, and that'll be it. And then so when I finally get the call to say I've got the part of large stable boy, I was absolutely elated. And it wasn't until I went for a costume fitting and for a screen test. And I went over to Belfast, and the costume fitter was measuring me up for a costume, and she pulled out a piece of paper and she says, I think the older Hodor wears something like this. What do you think? What do you? And I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking,
shut the door.
Because I was a fan of the hold the door. In fact, I was a fan of the show, and so I was thinking, what do you mean the older Hodor? You've got the wrong person. I'm meant to be large stable boy. I thought I was going to be one of the sort of background artists, and that would have been great. But I went along with it because I was absolutely terrified, and so I was just like, and then I went I met one of the directors, and they were sort of saying, "Have you seen the scripts yet?" And I was like, "No," and they were like, "You know who you are playing, right?" Because obviously, and I was like, "I think so." So and that was when I found out I was young Hodor. But I was so lucky to be able to, because I got to roll around on the floor in the middle of Northern Ireland for a day. And it ended up being the most dramatic scene of the season. Shireen's death,
iconic.
Aside,
of the show,
of the
show for me.
Television history.
It is of the show, not just the season, dude. Of the show. So, how many days filming did you undertake for that?
I was in Belfast for a grand total of I think 10 days. I think.
Excuse me.
But we had the weekend off, so it was probably 7 or 8 days of filming. It was meant to be 7, and we did an extra day because they had to get another angle or something. And actually, most of that week was spent filming my spot in episode 2, where I'm just in the background holding a horse for most of it.
Yeah.
Because it was this whole big elaborate scene where young Ned Stark rides in on a horse into the middle of Winterfell and chases after a load of chickens on the ground, and then Lyanna Stark pulls him off, and then the Raven appears, and it's time to go, and all the sort of weird stuff happens, and I'm there holding a horse. So that took most of the week, and then I think I did it in one day, the whole rolling on the floor bit. And
look at you, nailed it.
I was very lucky that the director of that, Jeremy Podwayser was the director for the episode 2 scene, and he was very methodical, and he did take after take after take to get every single shot absolutely perfect. And then Jack, I forget his surname now, who did the Hold the Door scene, he was a lot more sort of laissez-faire. He'd done episodes of Lost and things, and he was a bit sort of, hey Sam, whatever you want to do, just do it. We're just going to try and get it in as few takes as possible. Just go up and do it. And so I had no idea. I had no direction. I just started rolling around the floor. I wish I hadn't decided to shout in the first take, because by the end of the day, my voice had gone. And it could have been, oh no, and it would have been lovely, and I could have, gone karaoke in the evening. But
okay,
it was an amazing experience. Yeah.
So you say you had the opportunity to just riff, essentially, while filming that scene. So, obviously, without going into the semantics and the breakdown of that scene, and there are thousands of YouTube videos out there that you can watch if you want that. That's not what we're going to do here. We'd love to, but we're not going to because we'll all get it wrong. How did you prepare for that scene? Where did you draw? Because it looks like looks like Willis has a seizure.
Yeah.
So how did you play that, and where did that come from?
Yeah. So I've several family members who have epilepsy, and so I've had some experience with sort of epileptic fits, and I've seen sort of seizures happen. So I had a vague sort of background knowledge of what they looked like, and I knew the science behind it, and it's about sort of the tension and the release of muscles. So that's kind of the basis for it. So that was physically sort of had in my head that I just wanted to try and tense all my muscles and release them over and over again, and that was the sort of technical side of it. The Hodor to the Hold the Door to Hodor bit, there was no sort of grand acting theory behind it. So Certainly not theology, Christ. Christ indeed. But there was a. It was just me sitting in a hotel room in the middle of Belfast, going for hours on end until I got it sort of. I worked out.
Person from room service was like,
Yeah, room service are like, but there's no one here.
Sorry, what?
But yeah, that was kind of it. And Jack, the director, said to me, sort of, do you know how seizures happen? I sort of said, yeah, I've seen an epileptic fit. I know how that does. And he sort of said, you go do what you feel is right, and we did.
Which and this is going to be mean, but which are not okay. So the question isn't which director do you prefer working with? Which method did you prefer, the rigid and strict or the freeform?
It's a tough one. I liked them both because they were. Sorry to be diplomatic again.
Don't do this, Sam. Don't do this.
I think I personally preferred Jeremy Podways' way, which is the strict, the methodical.
Okay.
Everything is technical. He told every actor exactly where to stand, where to walk to, what to say, where to look, and we did hundreds of shots and takes from all different angles, and he gave the editors essentially a massive package of shots that they could pick and choose from, whereas Jack's thing was put the camera in a position that I liked, get it done. Once it's done, bang, move on, next scene. And as an actor, although that produced amazing results, and clearly that whole episode is just incredible, and he directed the whole episode, you feel less secure in your acting choices because it's sort of like bang and done. So you do it, and then they're like, right, cool, we're moving on, and you're like, no notes, no like improvements. It was can we?
But doesn't that mean that no, there aren't any notes, no, there aren't any improvements? You got it.
Perhaps, but still, it's nice to know that there are 23 takes, so that if in one of them you've done something absolutely abominable, the editor can see it and go, what on earth are they thinking? Let's get rid of that.
All right, fair enough.
But,
I think I'm very much the other way, freeform. Just yeah.
Not you.
Dear oh me. Now we could talk about the character Hodor forever, but I'd love to speak about the character of Bud. And now, unless any of my colleagues here have any questions regarding that, anybody got any burning desire to ask anything about Willis?
About Willis, I don't know.
Young Hodor.
I just wanted, while I've got the opportunity, to say thank you, really, because one of the reasons why that moment spoke to me so deeply is because it evoked a lot of, I suppose, deeper feelings and about being a special needs parent. And as James says, even Morgan Freeman was broken.
You broke God.
You broke God, mate.
You broke God. Not to get theological about it, Sam.
Yeah. But yeah, that moment is just it. Oh my God! It just spoke to me on another level about the grief that that people go through when someone close to you has to go through something like that, and how horrific it is for the person themselves to have their life changed just like that. It's I could go on about it forever, but yeah, so that
another show, maybe another show where we focus on something. What I'd love to do though is talk about Bud, because you and I chatted briefly about the direction of this conversation, and you were like, you should check out Bud, and I checked out Bud, and holy shitballs, dude.
I was too scared to.
I'm aware of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So, and I'm just going to put my balls on the line here and say this, because not only are we friends, we're colleagues as well. I thought the character of Bud was being billed as Leatherface. And so, I mean, I guess I'm just about to fuck it up for anyone that hasn't watched the film, but we can't talk about it because it's so important. Bud turns out not to be Leatherface, and that, if you excuse the pun, blew my mind. So, I mean, what's your take on that? Because Bud was kind of non-verbal, seemed to be what we call neurodiverse now. I'd love to get your take on the character of Bud and your expectations from the character, and and what you were expecting.
Yeah, so I mean, the intention of the film up until it got to the editor, actually it was about halfway through filming, was to do this whole big press junket thing where the whole hook is who is this, where they have these like 4 or 5 sort of psychopathic youngsters who have escaped from a mental asylum, and one of them is going to become Leatherface, and you don't know who. And I was meant to be the sort of main red herring as the sort of the large, pretty monosyllabic, sort of switch in his head, and he can kill anyone with his hand. Yeah, So I was meant to be the red herring, and then it was meant to be, twist, it's actually the Hugh Jackman style figure. It's the only way I can describe him. And then I think about halfway through filming, Lionsgate, who were the big overarching gods of the film, and I think there was basically that whole thing got scrapped. The marketing was sort of reduced significantly in budget, and so the second half of the filming was less about that and more just about filming a good film. And then there was a whole thing where they wanted to do some reshoots because it wasn't gory enough for the production company, and they didn't think American audiences would be interested in it because it wasn't gory enough. And then the 2 incredible French directors who had made this absolute masterpiece of a film refused to do reshoots and refused to re-edit it because they were happy with the final version. So then they had to be broken off of their contract and sort of paid off or whatever, and we reshot it with a different director, and we did a load of scenes that we reshot, and actually the reshot scenes were worse than the original scenes, which you can also see on the extended DVD or whatever. So it was there was a whole load of palaver, and then they didn't really have a proper release for it, and it went straight to on demand. There was a whole thing, which is why Thrones came out before Leatherface, even though I did Leatherface before Thrones. So yeah, I was meant to be the red herring for Leatherface, and then that got scrapped, which is why when you watch it, you're like, is that guy meant to be Leatherface? Is it?
That's what I thought. I genuinely thought, because you fit the archetype. Your character fit that archetype.
Yeah, and in terms of the character of Bud himself, obviously I was 18 at the time, and I was just trying to sort of do the best I could to portray a character. But looking on it, I was talking to this on the phone the other day, Greg, looking at it sort of retrospectively now, especially as I've got into politics a lot more, and I'm a lot more conscious of representation in the arts and in the media and things like that, of the fact that, both Hodor and Bud were essentially neurodiverse characters. They both went through, both of them had sort of limited speech, both of them had a sort of slightly diverse sort of neurocapacity or whatever, and I've been asking myself, should I have played those characters? Should they have got someone who actually lived those experiences? Should they have found a diagnosis for those characters that was relevant to a modern day?
We're not going to touch that yet, because that's a minefield. Thanks, dude.
No, but what I have to say, can I say something about that?
You can.
Okay, because
it's your company, you can destroy it if you want.
No, of course it's important to have people who are as close as possible to the character to play that role. But looking at it from a producer's point of view, there are multiple different factors behind the decisions where people coming from an audience perspective would go, well, you should have somebody who's got that condition in that role. But when it comes to the reality of it and the pragmatics of it, it's like, has anyone seen the fantastic series that David Tennant did on the BBC about the family with the kid who has a learning disability? It's something called. What's it called? It's on the tip of my being middle aged again, and I've forgotten. But it's amazing. Something like the daughter's called Rosie. That's all I can remember. But it's been a while since I watched it. But it's an amazing series. It's really, really good. But the kid that they cast in the role didn't have a learning disability. She was neurotypical. And they explained the reason behind why they had to do it that way was because a kid with a learning disability would not have been up to performing.
There she goes.
What was required at the time. When it would have been needed.
The TV show is called There She Goes.
There she goes. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I thought you were talking about me.
Yeah, I thought that was the comment. I was
There
like,
she goes. There she goes.
Company over.
Completely pouring the company down the toilet. No. And actually, from a producer's point of view, I can understand that. It's not just about bankability. It's also about the actor being able to play the role as well. You could not ask my two boys to act in something. You wouldn't get a performance out of them. Just wouldn't be possible. You'd just end up spending so much money waiting for them to go through a meltdown, or they wouldn't be able to learn their lines, or it's just not pragmatic. A lot of times it is, though, So
I think there are sometimes things that can be done,
but
it appears to be, from my understanding, and anyone jump in here, that it's perceived more practicable to work with people with physical disabilities than it is with neurodiverse ways of thinking, because of exactly of what you say. We have autism in our family. Nikki's family has some autism. I think I've got some in mine. And you can't sit there for a day with everyone on a day's wages just waiting to be able to film because of the way neurodiverse people work. Unless, of course, all of a sudden people are willing to pay £50 for a cinema ticket and take that into account, which, of course, people aren't. But that is really getting into a...
I
think the important thing where direct representation can't be achieved is to make sure that you have consultants on a film. And that was one thing I wish, looking back, I wish there had been a consultant on Leatherface, because I was essentially playing an autistic character. I didn't know that my sister's autistic, so luckily I had a good knowledge of what autism was, and my mum was a learning disabilities teacher as well, so I was familiar with that universe.
You had your own consultant.
I knew enough to be able to portray the character in a, I hope, a non-offensive way, even though he was a psychopathic killer as well.
But he was a non-offensive psychopathic killer.
Hopefully. But I wish looking back that this group of sort of 18, 19-year-olds who are playing these characters had someone on set who could say, I know this stuff, or even someone who has the sort of lived experience of neurodiversity to be able to guide those.
So there's an argument for not just having intimacy coordinators, but for having disability coordinators.
Oh, absolutely. I think consultancy is one of the most important things on any set nowadays when it comes to all sorts of diversity issues. If you are trying to talk about a topic, have someone on set who knows what they're talking about.
Yeah. So some great kind of stuff that we hadn't planned. Really, we've written down some questions for you. This is stuff that we haven't planned because I love free form conversation. It's so much more natural. But we have got some questions, and what we're going to do is I'm going to ask Chris all the way over there. Are you over there? Can you?
No.
Oh no, Chris is all the way over there. Chris, yeah, that's it. Throw our first question to Sam. You up for that?
Yeah. Well, our first question on the list is it's a broad one. What made you initially, and at what age as well, what made you want to go into acting as a profession? When did you first kind of realise you wanted to do that?
Yeah, so I have a very similar story to a lot of actors, in that I was a shy child, and my mum had been told that going to like a drama class or like a Saturday musical theatre class would boost my confidence. That's the main reason a lot of people put their children into these sort of classes. And so my mum took me to a local like Saturday drama, dance, theatre class.
Was
and
that in Bexhill?
No, so at the time I lived in Aylesbury, actually, in Buckinghamshire.
okay.
So
in Buckinghamshire.
In Buckinghamshire, where I happen to have been born, but I only lived there for 5 years, so it's not really I don't know. Yeah. So, and for the first three lessons, for the first 3 weeks, I was crying at the end of every session. I didn't like it. It was breaking my boundaries. But then by the fourth session, and my mum was, she's not a sort of stage parent or anything, so she was considering pulling me out, I think. But I think it was the fourth session, mum went to pick me up and I did not want to leave. And I was like, Mum, I love it. I've just got to play a tree or something. I don't know. I can't remember. But, I love it. I want to do this forever. And ever since then, I've always just done acting. And it wasn't until I was maybe 16, 17, I suddenly thought, hang on, I could actually do this as a job. Because I wanted to be a TV historian at the time. And I thought that was as near to acting as I could get without.
Do you mean as in learn about the history of TVs or present on TV?
As in be Tony Robinson, essentially. I didn't want to do the digging in Time Team, but I wanted to stand next to the people doing the digging and say, "This is an ancient Roman pottery wheel." Yeah. But I joined up to a local agency on a whim. And within the first sort of 6 months of me joining that agency, I got an audition for Leatherface, and the story starts there. So it was a bit of a
brilliant.
Yeah,
awesome.
I'm very lucky.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to hand over to Orla to ask. I think the second question we had planned for you, we've kind of already spoken about. So maybe Orla, you can ask the question that's third on the list.
Crumbs. Okay, let me just read the list again.
We know what we're doing.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of.
Don't have to worry about how to word it. Just read it.
Cool. I just wondered, have you got any moments so far in your career that when you think the highlights, like one of your favorite moments at all, whether that is on set or maybe watching something back for the first time, when you felt like the most proud of yourself?
Oh, that's a very tough question. First of all, the word career is quite daunting at sort of 24. But I don't know. I struggle with both the idea of pride and I guess the idea of fame as well. I certainly wouldn't consider myself famous, although I felt the fame for probably the first year after Game of Thrones came out in my local area, because every time I went to a club in Hastings, everyone would be like, "Oh my God, you're the guy that lives near here who played Hodor on TV, aren't you? Can I have an autograph? Can I buy you a drink?" So I experienced that little microcosm of whatever weird thing that fame is. But I don't know. I struggle with that, really. I don't know. I just enjoy it. I enjoy it, and I enjoyed my time on set. And acting, I'm sure Greg will agree, is a bit like a drug. When you're on set, when you're on the stage, you're like, "Oh, this is great. I want more. I want to do this forever." And then the job finishes and you're sat at home on the sofa waiting for the next audition to come in, like, help me. I need my drug. But I've found other things now, and I'm sure Greg
found other drugs.
Well. I found other things to pump into my veins. I found my nicotine patches, as it were, to bide my time between those. But they're just incredible experiences. I guess being on TV is pretty cool.
Yeah,
it is.
So did you not see? Did you get to see your scene as Hodor before it was aired, or did you sit with your family and watch it for the first time?
Yeah, so I didn't get to see it before it was aired, and I did indeed. My mum is being a proud mother, invited like half the neighbourhood into our living room to watch both episodes, and it's quite the first episode because it's so small. I'm just sort of in the background, and she'd hyped it up because she knew I'd obviously told her the secrets of what was happening. She was like, "Oh, it's amazing! He's in this big scene." And so when people came around to watch the first scene that I was in, and I'm sort of in the background holding a horse, there was a lot of people going, "Oh, well done, Sam."
You held that horse with such gusto.
It's really good. You're on TV. Well done. So but the second one, the second one was quite interesting because obviously I'm not necessarily cringing. I'm not sort of that averse to seeing myself on television. But I don't experience it as I'm watching the character. I experience it as I'm watching me rolling around on the floor. What did actually get me watching it for the first time was, and I did cry, not because of me, that would be a bit weird, but because of the music and the sound design and the way it was, because I hadn't seen what it looked like, just the whole production of it. You know, I mean, anytime there's dramatic, emotional violins, I'm a big ball of tears anyway, because I'm an emotional mess. But, you know, it was a bit like I was crying, and then I was also like, oh, it's me. What am I doing?
Awesome.
It sounds a lot like
right.
a night out.
Right, Karis, I've put your question in the in the chat. You scroll right to the bottom. There we go.
Do you have any advice for newcomers to acting feeling comfortable on set?
Yeah, I mean, first disclaimer, I'm still quite new to this myself compared to some, you know, and there's probably still a lot I have to learn. I mean, I teach, as I think Greg mentioned, acting classes in several local places. And I always say to the kids I'm teaching, if you want to be an actor, if you want to go into acting, especially in the world of film and TV or the world of theatre, if you want to go into it, you need to make sure that you are 100% in love with it and you are ready to push and to go, because there is a lot of hurdles in terms of acting. I'm sure, you know, Greg will agree. You know, you will get told no a lot of times, and if you don't want it with all of your sort of gusto, it's a very hard world to be in for however many years, getting told no all the time. Even if you're the world's most talented actor, you're going to get told no, and so you have to want it. And you have to love it with all of your heart. But if you do, and if it is something that you're thinking, I think I absolutely love this, I think this is what I meant to do, then go for it, because it's just the most incredible. As I said, it's a drug. It's the best drug. It's virtually side effect free, and it, you know, and you get paid for it as well, and it's incredible. So if you want to do it,
You get paid for doing cool shit and having fun.
Well, no, actually, not quite right. You get paid to sit on a set, doing nothing most of the day, and then as a reward, as a reward for that, you get to stand in front of a camera for 5 minutes and do a bit of acting. So that's the truth.
That's the truth.
Emily.
So, kind of related to what you were just talking about, what have been the challenges that you've had on your journey so far?
Yeah, I mean the gap in between jobs is certainly a challenge. I did Thrones and Leatherface, and then I had about a year before I got my next gig. And because Thrones and Leatherface were both ridiculously well paid, I had money for the first time in my life. You know, I'm a working class boy living in a council house. I was like, what do I do with all this money? So every audition I went to, I gave, you know, far too much money to rough sleepers in London as I was on my way to the audition things, and I didn't know what to do with it. I was like, take it, otherwise I'm just gonna, you know, eat myself to death. Because money's usually the limit on food for me. You know what I mean? But
good man, good man.
Yes, but it's that moment of, I think it was like the November after I filmed everything in the spring, and I was sort of sat there thinking, oh, I have nothing to do now. I need to get hobbies and I need to find things to do in the off time. I think that's very challenging.
So you were talking about, we were talking a little bit about it earlier. So you said you found something to be your nicotine patch. What is that then?
Well, yeah, I've it's politics, funnily enough, which is a very bizarre and self-abusive nicotine patch to have. I think it's quite a stressful thing. But I actually stood. I'm a local councillor now. I'm a representative of my village, which is both incredible and terrifying at the same time. But politics has kind of occupied my time. I happen to get politically conscious around the time of the Jeremy Corbyn's Labour leadership and getting in. Not I don't want to go into the sort of that area of it, but the sort of social justice movement that was sort of brewing at the time, which led to that and other things happening, and latterly the Black Lives Matter movement and all of those sort of things. These things that I believed in, and I knew most of my peers as young people believed in, this sort of racial equality, workers' equality, getting paid properly, people having free access to education, all of these sort of ideas that were bubbling in my mind. My experiences sort of having, living with people with disability and the way they'd sort of been pooped upon by the government repeatedly over the last 10 years or so. And so that occupied my mind when I wasn't acting, was okay, maybe I can do something. You know, I've got a little bit of fame now, a little bit of recognition. I can get
The
onto platforms
clout.
now. And I started, you know, going on podcasts and talking about politics and going on things and doing that sort of stuff. And then, you know, I went to a local Labour Party meeting and they were looking for candidates, and they asked, we haven't got a candidate yet for Sidley, my village, and no one put their hand up. And I was like, oh, well, yeah, I'll do it. Why not?
Hey!
And here I am now, 401 billion hours long videos with old people discussing data protection laws and stuff later.
What did I do?
Why did I do this?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to come in there with maybe one of the final premeditated questions. And I love being asked this question. I was asked this question first on a podcast I did a few months ago. I'd never encountered it, and I was like, oh, good question. And it's really made me think. Which character would you like to portray more than any other character?
Oh, I don't really know actually. I've had this question before. I'm pretty easy street. Like if it's a well written character and you're going to pay me to portray it, I'm jolly well going to do it and enjoy it. I'm not one of these actors that reads scripts and goes,
Look, you don't have to play coy. All right. What I'm saying is, and if any actor has ever played any character that you've loved and you'd love the opportunity to do that, what's your burning desire? Like, I want to be that character because that's an awesome character. Come on.
I don't really
flirt with me, Sam.
I quite like. I would quite like to do a comedy role. I mean, it is a stereotype for larger, especially male actors to play the funny comedy sidekick. But I'd at least want to do one of those. One of the sort of like, hey, here's a joke about that handsome man. But that would be nice. I used to get called Hagrid a lot at school because I used to have very long hair, as Greg will know. And so that's always an option. So but I don't want to compete with the man upstairs.
Back off, Coleman. Back off.
I think there's already an overcrowded market of people playing Hagrid.
What do you mean overcrowded? I think it's a perfectly beautiful.
But if there needs to be, if you need a body double or whatever, I can put on a fake beard. It's fine. But, I don't know. I love telling stories. I love communicating, and if people, if someone thinks that I can portray that story in the best way, then I love to do that. So
awesome. Well, nicely dodged question, Sam. You should go into politics. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to talk about this because talking about Hagrid and Hodor and stuff. Sam and I share a love of a mobile video game, don't we?
Are you talking about Among Us here?
I am talking about Among Us. And I adore Among Us. I think it's the perfect video game because you can play it, and if you're a character that dies or gets killed, you can still continue to play the game and still win. And if you're the imposter, it's really fun to try and outsmart the other players. So it's kind of a win-win game. I tell you how much I liked the game. I paid to have ads removed. That's how much I like the game.
They're not even intrusive either, the ads. They're like tiny little pop-up.
No, I know. Really... But I put a post up on Facebook saying any of my friends play Among Us, and Sam was like, yeah, I play. And so I added some people to a group. So we play quite often. And one of my sons is called Bran, and it's not now he's not called Bran because of Game of Thrones. We named him Bran after the pagan god Bran the Blessed. And sometimes we do family game night, and one of these family game nights I was like, why don't I ask some of my other friends to join us as well? So there are like 10 of us, and their kids were like, yeah, that's great. And Sam joined us. Now I'd played a few nights with Sam. That sounds shadier than it is. But Sam does this thing saying, I really like playing ghosts. So come to communications and if you're the imposter, come and kill me so that I can play as a ghost. I'd never believed him. I just thought, what a weirdo. And that night, playing one of the games, I thought, I'll go and check on Sam in communications. And this is what happened. Oh my god! Just
You were
brutal.
asking for that.
Greg was
The
not the
one
imposter.
time I went to check on him was the one time he was the imposter.
I laid the
And
trail of
scheming.
Tweeties, and you ate them all up, and you came in. And there I was.
It's just brutal. And bloody Pink walks in, watches you murder me, and just runs off. I didn't see anything.
I was in electrical.
And then you report the body and get Pink kicked out. Genius. What is it about that game you love, Sam?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's another game which people have played, like Jackbox games with their friends on Zoom, which a lot of people have. It's kind of been my sort of lifeline during the lockdown. There's a game called Push the Button on one of the Jackbox games, which is very similar. In my opinion, Push the Button's a little bit better than Among Us. But Among Us is kind of like the version of Push the Button where you didn't have to organize a social gathering. You didn't have to organize all of your friends to join a Zoom call and get it up and running, and everyone joins via their phones to play the whatever. And you could just sort of go on there and join any game. It was kind of the multiplayer online version of that for me. But I love it. It's great. It's a great game. It's a good game to play. It's a good procrastination time waster. You don't have to think to play it. You can just, run around. And if you're either doing tasks, which is quite a ironic way of not doing actual tasks by pretending to do tasks on a video game, or you're trying to kill people, which either way, anything's better than hoovering.
It's a win-win. And when we were playing last week, I think it was, and I said to Bran, that guy there playing there, he played a character called Hodor, and his job was to protect a character called Bran. And my son was like, "Cool, Dad." I'm just like, these kids these days.
Have you ever played a game of Among Us where you name yourselves a different color to the color you choose?
Yeah.
And then try and communicate with each other? Very difficult.
I have one rule in Among Us, and that rule is you call the character by the name, by the color their character is, not by their name.
Cool.
Because
Good to know.
Yeah, I think we should do Scriptworks Among Us night.
I'm up for that.
No, I would not know what to do.
I haven't played it.
No,
so
that's
long.
brilliant. That's great for the rest of us. Em. That's absolutely fine.
Just come to
I'll stream it on
communications.
Twitch.
I'll be waiting in communications. Just come and check on me.
Yeah, I'm not going to fall for that one.
Hodor will protect you in comms.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely fantastic. Let's have a look through there. I think we've done everything. Sam, have you had a good time?
I have. Yes. It was really strange. It was I'd just come straight from a Zoom call with John McDonnell MP, the former Shadow Chancellor of the UK, that I'd organised with my local Labour Party group. So I just finished a call with John McDonnell, and now I'm here with you guys, and I can safely say you are a close second.
No.
Dang it.
No, it's been great. It's been great. Good fun.
Oh, the time has flown by. This was supposed to be an hour. It's an hour and 44 minutes, and there are still 5 people watching live. You nutters.
Everyone else has given up.
You absolute nutters. Mr. Coleman, have you any parting words for our 5 viewers live and whoever watches this later on?
No.
Oh, a man after my own heart. Dude, it's been absolutely fantastic having you with us. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on. And just any opportunity to work with you again, I'd love that. And let's hope 2021 enables that to happen.
I think we'll have to try and make something work.
I think
we'll have to write a comedy.
Do a comedy duo.
About 2 similar Hagrid types who are
2 actors battling for the same kind of roles.
Hola,
2 wizards who will win. So.
And go.
There we go.
Right.
Fantastic. Right. Well, Sam, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'll see you on Among Us. We'll let you go to bed now because you're looking tired. So thanks.
Thanks.
Lovely, isn't it?
This is what's great about interviewing friends.
Greg, have you shaved your underbeard yet?
I have not shaved my
I
underbeard.
saw you were thinking about it.
You're thinking
So,
about it. Though,
I'm
weren't
thinking
you?
about it. So what I've got, if I grab this bit of beard here, okay, and I pull it up, I have this underbeard here.
Oh, it feels a bit dirty. Oh,
Underbeard. That's a
Like-
good name for a band.
It's a good name for a hobbit. Hello, I'm underbeard.
Underbeard.
The beard.
Underbeard. Yeah. So that's where we are, and I'm thinking about shaving my underbeard just to. I don't know why, for shits and giggles, I guess. But we'll
Only
see.
one way to find out.
We'll see. Well, there's only
Have
one
to
way
do
to
it
find out.
live-
Tune in
live
to our
on
next
Facebook.
Scriptworks. Yeah, awesome. Well, Sam, I'll see you on Among Us real soon, dude. Thank you
thanks,
ever so
dude.
much.
Thank you, Sam.
Let's give Sam a round of applause. We love you, Sam. And Grogo. Say bye, Grogo. Bye, Sam.
Bye, Grogo.
Thank you, buddy. There we go. Oh man, what an awesome fellow.
Legend.
What an awesome fellow Sam is. I'm only saying that because he's still backstage and he can hear us.
You'll be glad to know that I've never watched Game of Thrones. Ooh.
Wait,
But
It's still down.
Wait.
I've seen it in the background and I've
wait,
seen
oh no! He came back. Sorry, Karen.
I grew
Not
up in
acceptable.
France.
What was
I grew up in France and I couldn't watch it with all the everything in French. It just sounded terrible.
When you
And
say
because
grew
I
up in
had seen
France,
Turn it off the
it's
French
not
dub.
like that old TV show, Karis.
it's only the biggest show in the entire world.
I travelled all the way up to Belfast
Hermit.
to go on a tour of where they filmed it, but they didn't have anything left. It was just literally like
So
the
love
forest.
to do that.
I was like, oh,
Sam, I'm so sorry
But it
about
was
my
very
colleagues.
cool.
They're just
Yeah,
savage.
we'll
I'll
have to
have a word.
rectify that.
I
If
mean,
you
I've
wanna file
watched
a
your
complaint-
clip now, so the best part, obviously, is what I've watched.
It is true. That is true.
Damn, she's good. This
Trying
is
to
this
dig
is
yourself out
why
the
she's
hole.
our PR. Right, we'll let you get to bed, Sam.
Cheers, Sam. Bye.
Oh, Karen, bless your little cotton dog.
Ah.
Oh, this is What? How awesome! How awesome is Mr. Coleman? I'm so honoured that he agreed to come on and spend his very, very valuable time talking crap with us. So thank you very, very much. I think we're pretty much done with the show, aren't we, guys?
Yes.
I think we're
Sorry.
pretty much done with the
We
show.
are.
Kirsten's still here. She's given a little clap.
thank you for watching.
She's given
Thank
a
you
little
for
clap.
watching.
Yeah, thank you ever so much.
Yes.
So I think it's just left for everyone to kind of say goodbye. If the 4 people that are still watching, if you're not signed up to our Patreon for just £1, you can sign up to our Patreon. You'll hear the end of the short Alice story that Emily wrote. That's coming to our Patreons next month. It's kind of how it works. We do a poll. That poll runs for 3 weeks. We announce those results, and then Emily has a month to write that, and we'll present that next month. So, she's got shit tons of work to do. But that's how that's going to work. So in a month, our Patreons will hear the rest of that story. And very, very shortly, we'll be doing another poll where our Patreons can say, what do you want to see the month after next, which will be February 2021. Can you believe it? February 2021. It's unreal. So our Patreon is patreon.com/scriptworksp. You can find us on all the socials. Just search for Scriptworks Productions. These podcasts are finally going to be put on, what are we using, Em?
Buzzsprout.
Buzzsprout. That's right.
But then from Buzzsprout, it will go out to different
Spotify,
platforms like
Google.
Spotify, iTunes,
Yeah.
Apple,
Yeah,
all of those.
Insert relevant
All
platform
of them.
here.
Yeah, whichever platform.
If you want to find us,
use,
you'll
it'll
find
probably
us.
be on there. Hopefully.
Yeah, that's it. So please do hunt us down. Please let us know what you thought about the podcast. For the 3 people still watching live, well done you. This is supposed to be an hour-long show, and here we are, 10 minutes under 2 hours. Thank you all very much. We won't see you live before Christmas, which is, not that far away, is it? It's just over 3 weeks away. So guys, have you any last words for our audience? I'm going to do this. Orla,
Thank you
you're up.
very
Crumbs. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter as well. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your year. And we'll see you next year.
Very, very nice. And then we're going to move. Who am I going to choose next? Who shall I choose next? I'm going to go with Caris.
I had a feeling that it was going to me. Well, same as Orla, basically. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching. We recently hit a mere 101 followers on Instagram, even though we do have plenty more on other channels. Feel free to check us out there. And Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and don't forget to get extremely wasted in the new year, because I think 2020 is definitely a year to forget.
2020 is the year to forget, but we can't, of course, forget that Emily created the wonderful Scriptworks, can we? Oh, how sickening is that? Right, Chris.
Yeah, thanks for coming and watching, guys, especially obviously you guys that stayed to the end. Please do subscribe up to our channels, keep updated, and I hope everyone has hopefully a much better Christmas than this year's been in general. Hopefully this Christmas makes up for the year, and have a good one and a great new year. And we'll see you next year.
That's fantastic. All right, and now we all saw her cry her eyes out earlier at the death and birth of Hodor.
Yeah, just what everyone else said. Thank you very much for watching, and yeah, we look forward to seeing you next month.
Short and succinct. There we go. So it's just left. I mean, we do have one other, but he's working quite a lot, and we don't get to talk about him because obviously he does work very, very, very hard. But M's wonderful husband and sickeningly handsome husband as well, Gino. Gino does just awesome work.
I think so.
Whatever he does. Well, I think so as well. Well, obviously I'm not trying to steal him.
You can't have him.
Yeah, I'm trying to negotiate maybe anyway. So let's go this way. That's like going, Jesus Christ.
What about Gino? You brought him up and then suddenly moving on.
I went to the wrong place there.
There we go. Okay, so to the four of you left who've suffered nearly 2 hours of this silliness, thank you so very, very much. Thank you for joining us. Do sign up for our Patreon if you want to. It would mean the world to us. And all that's left to say is have a fantastic Christmas and a prosperous new year. Take care, guys.